Welcome to Speak for Yourself. Marcellus White, I know I lost, I know. I'm a preach today, though, in the third tabernacle I'm wearing. And look at you over there, dearly beloved.
You didn't really lose the battle. You lost the weight, and thus you lost the battle because the suit don't fit like it used to.
Oh, is that all?
So you win. You won by losing.
A little bit, but the thread is iffy as well. Emmanuel Acho, my dog. Let's get it started in Cleveland, where Baker Mayfield recently had his fifth-year option picked up by the Browns. But what about the long-term plan? Speaking of winning and losing, Baker helped lead Cleveland to their best record since 1994 and is eligible for a long-term extension. But yesterday, he was clear on what his focus is on heading into the season. Take a listen.
The fifth-year option just happened, so a long-term deal, I think, is a little bit on the back burner for me. I'm not worried about it. I want to go out and win games, and I think everything happens for a reason, so we'll see what happens.
So, Acho, are you buying Baker's focus is on wins and not on his contract extension? Hey, this is the only show I know. Former players, no moderator, no BS.
Still, I'm buying it, big dog. I'm buying it. But rock with me, rock with me, rock with me. Again, on this show, I'm going to give you more work than the other former co-hosts that you killed off. So understand that first and foremost.
Okay.
I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do the research for y'all and for you, my dog.
My dog.
Baker Mayfield has rarely ever in his life had to worry about money. Let's go somewhere other cats ain't gonna go. I remember, so I lived in Austin, Texas for 11 years. Baker Mayfield is from Austin, Texas. Baker Mayfield went to Lake Travis High School. That means something to me.
Let me hear it.
Lake Travis is kind of the Beverly Hills of Austin.
Beverly Hills or Beverly Hills adjacent?
Not even adjacent.
Oh, so it is Beverly Hills.
It's Beverly Hills of Austin. Average net worth, now remember, this is Austin, Texas. This is not LA. Average net worth of Lake Travis ISD residents, $1.5 million. Now, average net worth of Lake Travis residents. Lake Travis is top 5 income per capita in the area of Texas. That's Austin, Texas, rather. Lake Travis is the top of the top. Along with Westlake. Remember, Westlake High School is Nick Foles. It's Drew Brees.
Yeah, I heard of that one.
Lake Travis High School, Garrett Gilbert, backup quarterback for the Browns, Baker Mayfield. Lake Travis and Westlake are rivals, okay? Not only are they rivals on the football field, they're rivals in wealth. So Baker Mayfield, he never really had to worry about money. Now, his senior year, if y'all do the research, his father, who was in private equity, fell on hard times. I guess they sold their house. They moved from rental home to rental home. But in Lake Travis, let's not get twisted. Like, they were like rental home to rental home in the hood. Yeah. They was rental home to rental home in Lake Travis.
Broke and rich.
So, like, let's put that in context.
All right, I hear you.
Now, experience is your expertise. Remember, Baker Mayfield was a walk-on, y'all. The walk-ons I knew at Texas, not to be confused with Texas Tech, where Baker Mayfield went to college, the walk-ons used to be breaded up.
Yeah.
So even
all of them?
All them cats.
He's about to curse.
The walk-ons was breaded up.
Okay.
So even if you doubt Baker Mayfield and where he was in high school, understand you weren't on athletic scholarship, and what we know is Baker Mayfield wasn't on academic scholarship. So, like, Baker Mayfield, you was in college as a walk-on, not on athletic scholarship. So even if y'all don't believe the whole Lake Travis thing, understand he was a walk-on. That means something. Baker was never worried about bread, Sal. So now, do you really think that Baker Mayfield is worried about bread? No, Baker Mayfield understands this. Hard work, success will follow. He was a walk-on, worked hard, goes to Oklahoma, becomes a scholarship player, works hard, success will follow, Heisman winner. Works hard, success will follow, #1 overall pick. All of a sudden, you look up, you got bread. So Baker Mayfield has never chased money. He's just chased work, and the money has chased him. So with that being said, I don't think he's focused on a contract extension. I think he's focused on what he's always focused on. Chase the work, and the money will chase you. And that's where Baker Mayfield just said, and it's been his actions his whole life.
You ain't lying. That was a different take than expected and magnificent. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, in the third tabernacle. Well, it's time for the pastor to preach now. This boy up here lying. Baker Mayfield up in line. First of all, you just broke news right there. You said he chases the work and the money chases him. Baker ain't never got paid. I guess you could call this new rookie contract scale system paid. You get paid in college? No. So all this time he was chasing work, he never got his money. He never got his bread. You know how long it is to hold your breath from college to now waiting on a rookie contract to be extended to a full-time deal? A long time. I think he's tired of holding his breath. Let me just start off with that. Now let's get into my take, because I'm still devastated by the fact that you actually came up with a credible take that was not the expected take. So some of these notes ain't gonna work. But let me be real about this. Baker Mayfield is out here pandering. You know my favorite word when I really want to hit you hard, but with a soft blow, but it's that late delayed pain. You're pandering. Bow! Yes, Baker Mayfield's pandering to this fan base, to this franchise, to us as fans and viewers. Because before he plays like a franchise quarterback, he just wants to sound like one. This is podium talk right here. Everyone knows that we play the game we love, a child's game as a professional athlete. In part because we love it, but in part because you got to pay me to do it. If not, you wouldn't have a call log, Baker Mayfield, the last month with your agent that has 97 outgoing calls. Hey, they picking up my extension? Hey, what's up with that extension? What's going on, 5th-year contract? Anything? The point is, we know how this works. I can come out to the public and say anything, and I'm usually going to sell something to you that's going to make you say, he's all in, he's committed to the team, he's about the big picture. But then I leave that place. I walk into the locker room, them guys in there, you know, they laugh like, you believe all that? And then you call your agent, so what's up with the money? I tell you like this, his argument is so porous. There's so many holes in saying, I'm not even concerned with my money. Acho, you played in the league. How many times you get cut? You always tell me. Five. All right, 5. Chip Kelly, my boy. Sorry. I got cut 1 or 2 times. The devastation of getting cut is, 1, you're not good enough, you feel, to this one team. Not necessarily the entire NFL, but you're like, damn, they don't want me. That's what hits you first, right? Yes, sir. The second thing is, my projections of earned income has just changed and altered. Drastically. Right? And so if you're going to think about that in failure, you're not thinking about that same money proposition in success? Yes, you are, because I got 1, 2 big deals. And let me tell you, when you're getting yourself in position to get a big deal, what you're thinking. All I need to do is X, and I know what's going to come from that. You finish that equation in your head. But when he gets to the podium or in this interview, he doesn't finish that equation when he's talking. You want to know why? It's just simple pandering. I think he's concerned with his money like every single player I've ever seen in the NFL. We're always bread conscious.
Sell is different, though, big dog. Why? Remember, people can be a product of their environment, okay? You grew up in Compton. So, like, you had to be, to a degree, bread conscious, I would imagine, just because you probably wanted a better life for yourself than the one you grew up with. You probably wanted a better life for your kids than the one you grew up with. You probably wanted a better life for mom and pops than the one y'all grew up with. Baker Mayfield grew up with a good life. So, like, I don't think he has to be as bread conscious. So, growing up, I used to have to imagine what it would be like to have my own money. I used to have to imagine what it would be like
Zamunda? I thought you were Nigerian. What you mean? Like, he has his own money.
To have my own. You like to be an adult and have your own wealth. But then even furthermore, I have to imagine, like, what would it be like to, like, be famous? But then as you get your own money and as you acquire a moderate level of fame, you no longer have to imagine. You got to understand it. So I can say now through experience, Baker Mayfield ain't worried about money. How do I know this? Because Baker Mayfield is in plenty of commercials. Now, I used to have to imagine what it would be like to be in a commercial.
My dog, say it again loud and proud.
I don't have to imagine anymore.
Why, you got a Lexus?
I'm in a couple commercials. So knowing what I have received based on my little bit of status and my little bit of commercials, I know for probably a fact Baker Mayfield probably makes more money selling commercials than he did this year alone. Y'all understand? He in Hulu commercials. He in Progressive commercials. He's sponsored by Nissan, Bose, New Era, H&H Sports, Body Armor, Panini America. So knowing what I know, based on my experience, Baker not worried about bread because he probably makes more bread off his Progressive and Hulu commercials than he does off of his whole contract. So, Sal, we live, me and you versus a Baker Mayfield, we live in different lives. Like, yes, when I was in the league, I was worried about my contract because I wasn't making no commercial bread. But Baker Mayfield is making plenty of money outside of the football field. I'm telling you right now, big dog, he not worried about this contract. Remember, different strokes, different folks, Sel. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson. Remember how Deshaun grew up, right?
Well, I'm bringing up Deshaun.
Like, let's talk about that. So Deshaun needed more imminently some bread. We would have to assume based on work done. Remember the incredible story, Work Done provides housing for Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson grew up Section 8 or impoverished housing, Work Done, built a house, etc. Even think about DeAndre Hopkins, bro. Phenomenal article that I read written by Mina Kimes about DeAndre Hopkins and his upbringing and everything he had to go through. That's different. Different people are in more imminent need of money and therefore are more imminently focused on money. Baker Mayfield's like, nah, I just kind of focus on work, and money's always found me. I genuinely think he ain't worried about them coins.
Man, I wish I could believe you, but I'm in a lot of those experiences you just mentioned, and I'm glad you brought me up. What's better than having some money? Having more money. You know what's so funny? You can bring up all these experiences of people who didn't need money. I could bring up Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Still, on draft day, Eli, like, I ain't going there, and I want my bread where I go. I dictate terms. So people who don't need money still dictate terms and still want to meet somewhere. I'm going to tell you where. Versus people who want money. And you're talking about people who want money like me, and you're talking about Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. Like, we need money and we want money. But you know where high society meets us in the low-income society? In a place of what you deserve, what have you earned.
Okay.
So no matter what you come from, you could be a billionaire, second generation playing in the NFL. But what you deserve and what you earn, you certainly gonna take. And that's where I think you are missing this one. I think that's where the holes in the arguments are. You're selling Girl Scout cookies. That's what you're doing. Baker did it, and some people bought it too. And you're selling them as well. Let me tell you this. Huh?
Samoas or Thin Mints?
Oh, I'm on peanut butter, but go do you. We ain't gonna never fight with the Girl Scout cookies because I want all the peanut butters. Here's the thing. This message is see-through the fans. They sitting there like, just play well, and you're going to get your bread. We don't want to hear anything else. You want to know why? Because right now, if ticket prices were to triple, do you know that the dog pound will be an empty kennel? Because nobody going. You want to know why? Because they're even bread conscious. I bleed Cleveland Browns. How much some tickets again? Hell no. Because the bread dictates the terms. Baker Mayfield, you ball out. Not like what you've been doing, this roller coaster ride of good, bad, pretty good. You ball out. And then they sit there and say, we ain't giving you your bread. All of a sudden, you're going to fall back on your childhood. Well, I really don't need bread, so I'm fine with that. Will you stop? Baker Mayfield wants what he earns. Right now, he hasn't earned enough. So right now, he's going to say franchise quarterback things because right now, he doesn't have franchise performing moments. That's where he stops short.
I think that's fair, but there are two trains of thought. You bring up your examples, which are true, but remember the example of Tom Brady. Like, we know Tom Brady has taken pay cut after pay cut. Tom Brady deserves to be the highest paid quarterback every year.
But
every
for
year.
a reason.
He deserves
Dive into the details.
Talk to me.
Tom Brady, people always say that, but first Tom Brady got paid.
Yes, sir.
Then Tom Brady said, okay, before you pay me again, pay Wes Welker.
Sure.
They shortchanged Wes Welker. He left, went to Denver. So Tom Brady has allocated money to other places. At times it's gotten
Yes, sir.
At times he hasn't.
But if we're being just blatantly looking at data, every year Tom Brady should be the highest paid quarterback.
By results.
But he's typically never is.
Okay.
Now, we could look incubated at Tom Brady, or we could look macro at the Brady family and understand that Brady's wife, Giselle, has a net worth of $400 million. So when Brady's going home at night, he's not worried about these dollars. He's worried about these wins because he doesn't have to worry about these dollars. That's the slight parallel I'm drawing, but I'll really end my point looking at it like this.
Let's go.
Baker Mayfield understands what I've preached for a year now, which is simple. Two ways as a starting quarterback to achieve wealth: by wins or by individual domination. That's what we see.
Yeah. Yes.
Joe Flacco, he wasn't the greatest quarterback ever, not at all, but he led the Ravens to a Super Bowl and won it. Nick Foles wasn't the greatest quarterback ever, not at all, but he had a great 4-game stretch, really a phenomenal 3-game stretch. Got him an $88 million deal. Flacco, he got a $120 million deal. Jared Goff, he was so bad in his team's eyes that they just traded him at the ripe age of 26 or 27. $134 million deal, not because he was individually great, but he won. Nick Foles, not individually great, but he won. Joe Flacco, not individually great, but he won. On the flip side, Deshaun Watson, he didn't win, but individually great. Matt Stafford, never won a playoff game, but individually great. Matt Ryan, he was individually great, although he also got to a Super Bowl later in his career, year 9. So Baker Mayfield is saying, look, okay, I've heard Marcellus Wiley. Individually, I might not be all that great. But as long as we win, that's also a track to being paid. So I'm not going to worry about individual success. I'm going to worry about winning, like Flacco did, like I saw with Foles, like I saw with Jared Goff, because all them cats were the highest paid quarterback, not Nick Foles, but Jared Goff and Joe Flacco, highest paid quarterbacks at one point in time. I'm going to take that train of success.
Yeah, but you got to have your numbers add up to that. Okay, let's be real about this. Winning cures all.
Yes, sir.
It cures all for the team, but not necessarily for all the players. Let's just be real. You can't always hide under the umbrella and say, we won. They say, but what did you do in contribution to that same winning? I'm not even going to dive into all the details about that. But you bring up a Deshaun Watson, 2 games over 500, but then you look at him, you're like, yeah, that's special. Baker, you don't look at him and say, yeah, that's special.
Correct.
Not yet, right? Let's talk about winning. If it's just about winning, why Jimmy G is trade bait? Why Jimmy G in these conversations in terms of losing his job right now? Jimmy G is 22-8. Not all about winning. Ask Mr. Trubisky. You brought up before.
But he got paid, though. Jimmy G was the highest paid at one point in time. Off winning.
Off
5-0.
Off of potential. I always tell you, it's two things you can get paid. Proven production or hella potential. And that's how you got paid. Baker's not in the hella potential thing. We're like, what are you? It's still the inconsistency. Mr. Trubisky in your full screen yesterday. Like, Mr. Trubisky, the winning doesn't cure all. He has a higher winning percentage than a lot of quarterbacks and find himself as a backup on $4 million contract. Be careful of this. Here's what I got to say about Baker Mayfield in terms of some of the statistics, some of the numbers. There are examples of quarterbacks who had their fifth-year options picked up, but then they weren't in the long-term plans, no long-term contract extensions. Jameis Winston with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Where's Baker Mayfield in comparison to Jameis Winston right now? Like when Jameis Winston was out there, 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, but also 30 interceptions. But has Baker Mayfield thrown for 30 touchdowns? Anybody? Okay, whatever. Marcus Mariota, I think he got him beat. But still, fifth-year option picked up, but then get up out of here. Blake Bortles. Think Baker Mayfield got Blake Bortles as well, even though Blake Bortles did go deeper in the playoffs one year than Baker Mayfield so far. RG3. Baker Mayfield has not had the highs of an RG3 just yet, but with RG3, obviously injury, but didn't find himself in long-term plans. Ryan Tannehill, interesting one with the Dolphins. Pick up the fifth-year option, but then, I don't know. And then look how that worked out. My point is this. He's right there in the middle of a statistic that says, yeah, we're going to get your fifth-year option, but you're still on a prove-it deal. So if you're in a position where you still have to prove yourself, you're not trying to prove yourself so you can get the financial reward from it. Oh, you want the team reward, but you don't want the money that comes from that same individual accomplishment and team award. Look, I just about being authentic. If you're going to keep it 100, if you're going to get your money, it's fine. But don't go back to your childhood and talk about, well, I'm playing the game now because when I was a kid, I was rich, and it doesn't matter. Baker, caught you lying. Coming up, the 49ers are making a lot of headlines, and we have their Pro Bowl tight end, George Kittle, on the show. We'll get into all the Niners chatter later, but first, the Jets, J-E-T-S, are looking for a franchise quarterback. But is Zach Wilson the answer? We'll tell you if we have doubts he can save the franchise. That's next on Speak for Yourself. I hear you.
Welcome back. It's time for our big story presented by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Now, Zach Wilson is expected to have his name called as the number 2 pick on the Jets on Thursday. The New York Post says New York has been a, quote, tortured 45-year quest for their franchise quarterback. And now their turn to the former BYU standout. They added, if Wilson starts week 1, he'll be the 35th different starting quarterback since Joe Namath in 1976. Yikes. That's not good. So, Marcella, should we have doubts about Zach Wilson saving the Jets?
Doubts? Yes, we should have doubts. Look, a lot of people don't even know who Zach Wilson is. Stop lying. You just heard his name because the Jets keep talking about him, kind of. And a lot of people do know what the Jets are in terms of futility. So that sounds like a bad sentence. The unknown mixed with the bad. You would have doubts. I remind you what I tell my family, tell my kids about doubt. It's not a detour. Doubt isn't. Unless you don't believe or you can't achieve. So I don't give a damn if you doubt me all you want. Only it matters if I doubt me or I don't think I could get the job done. So, Zach Wilson, whatever I'm about to say, don't let it discourage you and detour you unless you don't believe yourself. Zach Wilson has an interesting career right here. A lot of people talk about the great 2020 season, but then when you look at him in detail, you start to say, what happened to the other 2 seasons? We talk about the shoulder injuries, hand injuries. We talk about him being 2-4 against top competition, ranked opponents. So it doesn't look like a guy who's greater than his circumstances over there at BYU. Look, his collegiate career record, 20-11. Everything kind of sells you to believe mediocrity plus. Well, you got to be exceptional if you're going to go to the Jets and be an exception, which means I'm going to be a franchise quarterback here to stay. Why? Because the Jets over the last 25 seasons have had 22 different quarterbacks. So the only way to be an exception is to be exceptional. And that's why there is some doubt about Zach Wilson. Is he exceptional? I'm not so certain. I'm not into the whole, what you read and what people are trying to say, the Jets and futility and the culture, because last time I checked, You can look at the Chicago Bulls right now and say, that ain't Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. And you can look at Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Bucks and say, that ain't the paper bag Tampa Bay Bucks. So cultures change based on thoughts, words, and actions and what people subscribe to, and if you just ball out. I'm not a believer in that. I used to play against these Jets. Oh, my God. Vinny Testaverde, Keyshawn Johnson. Shout out to my dog, Wayne Corbett. Oh, Brian Cox. Neck roll to the sky, coming at you, spitting, Mo Lewis, like, etc. They had squads. You can even talk about Mark Sanchez in the AFC championship games in consecutive years. But it's on Zach Wilson. And right now, you're okay if you're out there wondering, one, who is Zach Wilson? And more importantly, should you doubt Zach Wilson? Because there are still a lot of unknowns.
So I might have to take it a step further, big dog, because doubt means a feeling of uncertainty or lacking conviction.
Yes, yes.
I don't have doubts about him saving the Jets. He won't.
Come on, man.
And I'm not going to put that on his life, but still,
man.
Let's be real, big dog. Let's not play favorites. Mark Sanchez, my dog. He was a really good quarterback at USC. Won a lot of football games at USC, even though I believe he was only 1 year starter. He didn't save the Jets. Let's talk about Geno Smith. Geno Smith was a dog at West Virginia with Tavon Austin, Stedman Bailey. Led one of the most prolific offenses in college football since the 2010s. I remember watching him in Austin, Texas, dismantle a very quality Texas defense. Geno Smith ain't saved the Jets. Let's talk recent. Sam Darnold, you know this one for sure, was a dude.
Yes.
A dude at USC. I was a college football analyst. It was my occupation to study all the quarterbacks, and Sam Darnold was a dude. That's why he was taken top 5 overall. He ain't saved the Jets. Greater men than Zach Wilson have failed. So how are we now going to speak with some sort of conviction or authority and believe that Zach Wilson will save the Jets? And here's the biggest thing. If you hear nothing else, hear this. It's not going to be Zach Wilson's fault.
Okay.
Like, if you hear nothing else from this whole block, understand, it's not an indictment on Zach Wilson, but I've said it before. If I stand on a chair and you stand on the ground, it is easier for you to pull me down than for me to lift you up. Zach Wilson is standing on a chair right now, a pedestal, literally, number 2 overall pick if the Jets do, in fact, take him. It is much easier for the Jets organization to pull Zach Wilson down, as Mark Sanchez, you could argue, was pulled down, as Geno Smith was definitely pulled down, if Sam Darnold was pulled to the depths of the dirt of the ground, it's much easier to be pulled down. So it's not going to be Zach Wilson's fault. But if you're a defensive head coach, which Robert Saleh is, and he comes in and he said just as recently as last week, I'm not going to prioritize the quarterback position or overly prioritize the quarterback position, it's not even going to be his fault. Todd Bowles, great defensive mind, just as good a defensive mind as Robert Saleh, became the Jets head coach. Todd Bowles acquires Sam Darnold. Todd Bowles does nothing with Sam Darnold. I'm not going to blame Todd Bowles, but what I am going to say is this. We've seen greater quarterbacks than Zach Wilson fail. I'm not going to bank on Zach Wilson succeeding.
Careful of that greater quarterbacks than Zach Wilson talk. You're talking to a small school player over here. Greater is relative. It's not absolute. So I watched the draft. I think I was the 9th defensive end chosen. And I think one day we did on the show, Max Kellerman and I, he said, let's redraft your draft class, because he was trying to clown. He said, would you go higher or lower? I would have went higher because of achievement. But by perception, I would have went where I went, 52nd. People said, you played against accountants and nerds. People said, oh, those muscles ain't going to translate to NFL. You don't have that experience. Be careful, because a lot of people, when you talk about the 3 names I'm going to talk about, had their question marks, but they were protected in part because they went to big schools, bigger schools, or their programs. Mark Sanchez, I remember, because I'm an L.A. guy. I'm covering USC. Mark Sanchez moved up the draft because of likability in interviews. He wasn't supposed to be top 5. He wants to be number 5. But by performance, not when he left off the field last game at USC, he was not number 5. But you got in that interview room, et cetera, whatever, the freckles, I don't know what it was, but people start saying, move him up. Geno Smith, there were question marks about his processor. Let's just be his RAM, whatever the hell. People are like, Geno, It came out in different forms, different fashions. But I'm just pointing out the question marks that don't get highlighted when you're at a big program like they do when you're at a smaller school. Sam Darnold. As much as I love Sam Darnold,
he was a dude. He was a dude.
And then there were some times where you're like, that interception was unnecessary.
Sure.
And then that one was too, because you were such a dude, you got a little too arrogant with the arm. All I'm saying. Sam Darnold got a raw deal with the Jets. I give you that. But Sam Darnold's coach with the Jets is not going to be Zach Wilson's coach with the Jets. Sam Darnold is not the same as Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, first 2 years, 8-8. And you're like, Once again, he's not a number 2 overall pick in the first 2 years. What happens last year? 11-1. Forget the record. Second best efficiency in college football and second best completion percentage in football. All of a sudden, you start to say, is he doing this? Is this a smaller school player actually rising? Only player in the country to have more than 40 touchdowns and fewer than 5 turnovers last year. That's all I'm saying. I've been through this process on a much smaller scale where people started to take notice. The year before my senior year, I wasn't even on the draft board. I was an undrafted free agent if I were lucky. And what happened was 2 things. Now, this is different, but I got to bring it up. One, I went to one of those regional combines that come to the school, and I ran my 40. And they was like, wait a minute, run it again. And I ran it again. They was like, damn, you big to be running that fast. So that got a little buzz. What got me the most buzz, they were scouting another offensive lineman, top 3 rounds, they said, and he was a beast. Now, you're talking about rich. He was so rich, he didn't even go to the NFL. He was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to take the banging on the head, etc. Silly. Anyway, I dominated against him. And all of a sudden, that's where the buzz took off. That's how I got noticed. Zach Wilson, bigger stage than me, but not as big a stage as these other quarterbacks that faltered. With a new situation, with a new head coach who's trying to build around him like they did with Mark Sanchez, this kid still has a chance for success.
He has a chance. See, it's hard to say he doesn't have a chance.
Well, you said he didn't.
Yes. Because,
so which take do you want?
Because I will adhere to your take.
Oh,
I can understand you saying he has a chance. But that's only for the sake of being kind on television. Okay? Realistically speaking, I'm not indicting Zach Wilson for going to BYU. It had nothing to do with going to a small school. It has everything to do with the Jets, Jets. So, 4 out of the last 5 seasons, losing seasons. Haven't made the playoffs since 2010.
I'm listening.
Haven't had a winning season since 2015, 4 out of the last 5 seasons, double-digit losses. Offense, since the year 2000, has only finished in the top 10 once, and they were 10th, back when they had Brandon Marshall at wide receiver. So it's not even about Zach Wilson. Like, it has literally nothing to do with him. Bruh, put Trevor Lawrence on the Jets, and my take would flutter a tidbit. Like, put the great Trevor Lawrence, and my take would barely move. Again, I bring up history. Carson Palmer, he didn't save the Bengals. He took them to the playoffs, but he didn't save the Bengals.
What does saving the Bengals mean?
I think saving is resurrecting. Looking at what Andrew Luck did.
Ocho Cinco, Husmanzada.
Look, saving is resurrecting.
Palmer.
Look at what Andrew Luck did with the Colts. That is
That's not resurrecting. That's taking Peyton's...
Exactly.
That's taking Peyton's redshirt year and continuing what he already did.
Exactly.
That's not resurrecting.
Because my point is this. The only reason Andrew Luck succeeded in the manner he succeeded was because he went to a team that wasn't actually that bad. The reason Eli Manning had the success that he had instead of Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers individually as a career, much better than Eli Manning, every statistical metric. If Eli goes to the Chargers, I'm not convinced he has 2 Super Bowls nor 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
The 14-2 Chargers?
I'm not convinced.
I don't want to talk to you.
I'm not convinced he got 2 Super Bowls nor 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Top tier picks, number 1, number 2 overall picks. The reason they're number 1 or number 2 typically is because of where they are going. It is a porous, franchised, impoverished at many positions across the depth chart. This isn't even about Zach Wilson, but who they got at receiver, Sel? Their biggest acquisitions, Corey Davis, never had a 1,000-yard season. Keelan Cole had a 700-yard season last year. Tevin Coleman hadn't started 16 games in God knows how long. So, like, they don't even have the talent around Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's still going to feel like he's playing at BYU, except he's going to be playing against Power 5 competition when he goes out there and has to go against the Patriots. When he goes out there and has to go against your Bills. When he goes out there and has to go against the Dolphins. He's going to be looking like, yo, I thought I left BYU, big dog. So it's not about Zach Wilson.
Okay.
It's about the fact he's going to the Jets, and historically speaking, the Jets have not helped their quarterback succeed, regardless of how talented the quarterbacks are.
And here's the problem, not only with this conversation, but in life, society in general, that people are so married to history that they don't want to look forward to the future. They don't think that there could be greater than their circumstances, greater than their greatest excuse. I don't buy into that.
Something got to change those.
Yeah. To be an exception, you got to be exceptional. Damn it, it's that simple. It's like we had a debate before, and I see it all the time where people are like, no, you're an outlier. I'm like, no, I'm the rule. The rule is follow the rules, and you're going to be an exception. Follow the rules of working hard, having talent, and starting to build around you. Let me tell you why.
That's not enough.
No, it is enough. You know why? Because Adam Gase is not there. So why am I bringing up Adam Gase's win-loss record? Todd Bowles is not there, so why bring up his? Rex Ryan's not there, so why bring up his?
Todd Bowles was great. Todd Bowles was a great defensive coordinator.
I didn't say he wasn't. I didn't say he wasn't. But he didn't get a chance to work with Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson
got a chance to work with Sam Darnold.
Okay, but we don't know if they're the same. And that's the point. Like, every situation has to be looked at as a particular different situation. We do this statistics, generalizations are to simplify it. It's so funny. I read this book, Sapiens. It talks about that. Like, the reason human beings generalize and stereotype is because we lazy. We ain't got time to figure out what y'all all up to. So guess what? That's what y'all up to. That's what y'all all up to. Like, I can't do this to Zach Wilson. I could go all day on BYU quarterbacks. I could go all day on Jets quarterbacks. But what I can't do is say, Zach Wilson, look him in the face, you have no chance
But
to
here's
succeed.
what you know.
I can't.
You know something about a franchise and an organizational structure. I played for the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
And I was in the Cleveland Browns when we changed owners. Jimmy Haslam came in my rookie year, ownership change.
Okay.
I was in the Cleveland Browns. We went from Pat Shurmur to Rob Chazinski, I think, took over for Shurmur. I was getting traded as soon as Chazinski got there, so I was vaguely there with both coaches. Right. I was with the Cleveland Browns for 2 different general managers, but the Cleveland Browns are still sorry now. I was with the Cleveland Browns from Heisman finalist, winningest quarterback in college football history, second to only Kellen Moore, Colt McCoy, and I was with the Cleveland Browns with Brandon Weeden, first-round pick.
Facts.
I was with the Cleveland Browns with Trent Richardson. I was with it, I was still with all these different characters, different names, different faces, different talent levels, different management, different all of that. But the aura and the lack of winning in Cleveland, it was permeated regardless of the names, regardless of the players, which is why, full circle, I praise Baker Mayfield so much. But still,
Praise Baker Mayfield?
that's why I praise him so much, because I know how hard it is to win there. But with that being said, you've been in organizations. You know how organizations work. I can't sit here and lie like, well, Zach Wilson, you different than Sam Darnold. You different than Mark Sanchez. You different than Geno Smith. You different than Kellen Clemens. You different than Chad Pennington. You different than all these dudes, so you gonna be the one. Yeah, you different. But what about everything else?
Well, hold on. Why are you not going to use recent history to prove that older history may be dated? You talk about, let's start with Cleveland first. And Kevin Stefanski comes in and really changes that around.
Yes,
now,
sir. And Andrew Berry.
Andrew, yeah, I was about to say, he doesn't do it by himself. There are other names that don't get the same headlines. But the point is, he was exceptional at his job. And then all of a sudden, Cleveland has changed its course. You could be an exception. I don't like when I hear permeated. What the hell is permeating? Like, it's all based on players. It's all based on coaches. It's all based on human beings.
Atmosphere, though.
What is atmosphere? Our oxygen is not losing.
A culture is.
No,
a culture is.
No, you want to know why? Tampa Bay had the worst franchise in sports history, not NFL. Sports history.
Yes, sir.
One player says, I'm going to come. I'm going to bring some others, but they ain't going to get the headlines as well. And guess what happened? They win a Super Bowl in year 1. Kansas City had not won a Super Bowl 50 years. They give Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, others. And what happened? The worst can go to first.
Here's the thing. If you were going to tell me that Zach Wilson and others, if you're going to tell me, hey, not only am I getting Zach Wilson, but I'm also getting a future Hall of Fame wide receiver, Antonio Brown, a future Hall of Fame tight end, Rob Gronkowski, a number 1 top 10 overall pick running back, Leonard Fournette, on top of already having a starting running back, Ronald Jones, then I'd be like, yeah, Zach Wilson got a chance. Tom Brady ain't show up by himself.
I said he didn't.
Who scored all the touchdowns in the Super Bowl?
All the bring-ins.
Gronk, AB, Fournette, all the new cats.
Time out. We're not going to go from 0 to 100 that fast. Let's not compare him to Tom Brady. Let's just show the inspiration and hope that could come from a Tom Brady situation. The day before Tom Brady was going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, I remember it, because he was going to be an LA Charger or a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I was like, come on, Brady, I got season tickets, damn it. And it wasn't going to last long. Anyway, glad we got Justin Herbert. That's longer. Point being, he had a decision to make. And he went to the worst of the two cultures. Being real. Like the LA Chargers, San Diego Chargers, whatever you want to say, they're a better culture than what Tampa Bay was. But he went there with others, and look what happened. Even if Zach Wilson underachieves by that standard and just says, we're going to flirt with a playoff berth, that's progress. And you know what people going to start saying? Same thing they saying about the LA Chargers now. Hey, Justin Herbert there, I'm going to kind of go to the Chargers because now I can let it build and snowball. Why can't Zach Wilson be the beginning of that snowball effect?
If the Jets were to acquire Zach Wilson, trade for Odell Beckham, acquire another first-round top receiver in the end of the first or in the second round, and all of a sudden you telling me it's Zach Wilson and others?
Yes.
Because the pivotal conversation here is the others. If it's just Zach Wilson, I'm out.
But
just like if it was just Tom Brady, I'm not out because Tom Brady. But I ain't all the way in.
Right.
But as soon as you say, hey, Tom Brady, if you would have told me, hey, Tom Brady is going to have Antonio Brown plus Rob Gronkowski plus Leonard Fournette plus Ronald Jones plus Chris Godwin plus Mike Evans on his roster, I would have said, yeah, okay, I see it. I can see it now. If you would have just said, hey, Tom Brady's going to the Bucs, Oh, no, I ain't in. I ain't all the way in.
Okay.
So Zach Wilson and some, I'm with you, big dog.
Okay.
Zach Wilson by himself or Zach Wilson with Keelan Cole, Tevin Coleman, Corey Davis?
Careful though. I'm a dominoes champion.
Okay.
Like, I can play some dominoes.
Real talk?
Yes.
Okay.
Not bones like you play it. Like, I'm talking about like stacking them up and making nice little puzzles and ceramics. For real, my favorite thing in the world. That's incredible. Old show. Google it. YouTube it. I used to, and I still do it with my kids today. You stop laughing at me. I ain't corny. So anyway, here's this. Once you knock the first domino down, impossible to stop the rest, brother. Zach Wilson's the first domino for all of the success to continue to fall. For you Jets fans out there. Jets. Coming up, a Dr. Snub the King. What? We'll tell you what we think about Dr. J leaving LeBron off his all-time team. That's next. Don't speak for yourself.
Can you be an adult and play bones?
Hell no. Julius Erving made headlines recently when he said the Nets were buying a championship. Now he's back at it, but this time on LeBron James. Dr. J went on our guy, Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes has posted up podcasts and listed his all-time NBA teams, and the King did not make the cut. Take a look. His first team consists of players like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell, and the second team includes Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Larry Bird. Dr. J gave his reason for leaving LeBron off both teams. Take a listen.
Well, you look at LeBron and, anybody he sort of picks with him to be so, playing with so many guys. He's the guy who has led the charge in terms of super teams being put together.
Yeah.
Joined now by Fox NBA analyst Slick Rick Dubuque. But Acho, you have a problem with Dr. J snubbing LeBron?
I absolutely do, but I have a problem with the why. If he just wanted to snub LeBron because Dr. J is an old head, I respect it. Like, old heads do what old heads do. You see who he got on the list. He had Jerry West, Wilt, Bill Russell, Elgin Baylor, Oscar Robinson. The youngest person on his first team is 82 years of age. So, if he wanted to just snub him because he's an old head, I'd be like, you know what? I tip my hat to you, OG. Yeah. You an OG. I can't argue with you. But his logic, his logic, Slick. You point one finger, you got to remember, you got 1, 2, 3 of them things pointing right back at you. And speaking of three, remember, Dr. J's Sixers were 0-3 in the finals. And that's why he had to ring, call up NBA MVP Moses Malone before the 82-83 season. And then, only then, was Dr. J able to win his title. Remember, he couldn't get past the Lakers, which you could also argue was somewhat of a super team because of Kareem and Magic, but I ain't gonna go there.
You win.
But Dr. J couldn't get past a super team of his own. So what did he say? He said, man, if you can't beat them, join them. Now, different age of player empowerment. They didn't have nearly as much power then, but it's the same parallel to LeBron James. LeBron couldn't get past the Celtics. He loses in 08 to the Celtics in the semis, loses in 2010 to the Celtics in the semis. So what's LeBron do? Man, if you can't beat them, join him, because the Celtics had Kevin Garnett, 10-time All-Star, Ray Allen, 7-time All-Star, Paul Pierce, 5-time All-Star at the time of their joining forces. If I calculate that right, that sounds like a combined 22 All-Star games between their big three. When LeBron formed his big three, Wade, Bosh, Bron, that's only a combined 17 All-Star games between LeBron 6, D Wade 6, and Bosh is 5. So if we're really doing the math, not only did LeBron not start the whole super team thing, even in his own era, the Celtics did, and that's why LeBron had to bust a move, because he couldn't beat a super team or a big three, so he had to go form one of himself. But Dr. J, come on, man. You was pointing that finger. You got three pointing back at you. You lost 3 times in the finals, so you had to get help from an MVP just to get you a ring. Ooh. Let's not forget our own history. Let's not forget our own flaws.
Oh.
Acho.
What happened, Slick?
If Dr. J had put himself on one of those teams, then you might have a case and you took all these different things that sound really good and they look really good and they make sense, and you put them all together. But you didn't make cookies. You didn't make cookies. You didn't make a cake. You just put a lot of stuff together in a mixing bowl and then said, eat it. I'm not going to eat it. No, I have absolutely no problem with what Dr. J put out there, because to your point, I mean, look, he doesn't have anybody beyond the 90s. Anybody who was in their prime beyond the 90s on his teams. And he very well could have put himself on there ahead of Elgin Baylor, but he chose not to. This is the way all-time teams should be built. They should be built by eras, because the reality is the terms under which LeBron James has accomplished all that he's accomplished can't compare. You know, you said that player empowerment thing and you kind of snuck it in there and then you ran away from it. No, that's a huge difference maker here. They didn't have, whatever super teams were built back then, they were built in conjunction with the teams building them, and there was a ton more restriction when it came to it. Guys weren't giving up 10, 20, 30 million dollars in order to go play with somebody else because they were making 10, 20, 30 million dollars every year. So I think this is absolutely, I have absolutely no problem with how Dr. J did it. And I really don't have a problem with his reason for why, because it makes sense in terms of the difference in the eras.
I have a problem with what Dr. J said. I loved your take, though, Slick. You really pushed back on Acho, but you're going to have to push back on both of us. And I weigh more than Acho, so this is going to be tough. Here's the thing. Dr. J, like Acho said, man, this is just old man speak. This is what we do. I'm an old man on this show, and I love what I love. His error was he loves his era. And that's the problem. You got to evolve, big dog, and Dr. J. Woo, you're about to lose your license right now because you went out there and said something that just doesn't add up. Let's start in your era, since you want to say it's not just about player empowerment. Let's start in your era. Was Bill Russell on this list? Yes, he was. Did Bill Russell play with 9 Hall of Famers one year? Yes, he did. By hook or crook, whether it's player empowerment or general manager doing his job, who gives the damn? It adds up to this is who you're playing with, a stacked deck. So by that reasoning, Acho gave you many more examples. I don't need to go into that. But just by that simple reasoning, you got a little issue in terms of your top 10. And that's my biggest issue. How dare you put LeBron James in a situation where right now he's not top 10 on your list, Dr. J, but he's in the GOAT conversation. Even if you hate LeBron James's game, I mean, you just like, it's despicable. Who cares? He's top 3 all time. You're not in the GOAT conversation unless you are. But he may be the best ever, but he's certainly not number 11 all the way through infinity. We can't go to that place. So I love all these guys for different reasons, but somebody got to go. I don't care what his age is, what the birth certificate says. There's no way that you can look at a basketball conversation or someone having a basketball conversation seriously if they look at you and say LeBron James is not in their top 10. Make it make sense, Slick Rick.
I will make it make sense. Number one, you immediately are saying that LeBron is in the GOAT conversation. Whose GOAT conversation? Is it Dr. J's GOAT conversation?
Oh, my, we got a lot of
goats. Is it the old heads conversation? No, I'm telling you, if you got a room together of the guys that Dr. J mentioned and you got them together, you think they're sitting there going, yeah, you know what? We don't want LeBron on our teams, but he is one of the GOATs. They don't put him in that category. To your point about the player empowerment, this is the distinction, is that LeBron utilized his influence and his power to build a team in Miami. Then he utilized his influence to build a team in Cleveland, using up all the resources in Miami and then jumping ship. Going to Cleveland, utilizing all the resources, and then jumping ship. He's now in L.A., and I'm telling you, as soon as LeBron retires, they are out of resources. So it allows him to expend a great deal of resources in 3 different places that these guys didn't have. You go make a phone call and add one guy. It doesn't wreck the franchise going forward. And I'm not mad at LeBron for doing it. I mean, look, it's a different era. He's taken advantage of the circumstances to make what he's made. But if you ask me to compare what he's accomplished and say he's just tripled what these other guys have done, well, he's done it by moving to 3 different organizations and using up what they had. And I have to, if I'm an old head, I'm going to factor that in. And by the way, old heads, if old heads aren't going to stand up for old heads, who the hell is?
I'll stand up for old heads when they're in the right. But you know what? I follow the truth. And if you in the way, that's on you, big dog, because you got to speak the truth. Look, you made the argument that them old heads in the Hall of Fame committee made against T.O., which is if you don't like it or you don't like him, you're going to start hating on his achievements. Hey, bruh, that's not how I'm built. I don't give a damn what LeBron does in terms of draining the resources of the Lakers. I don't give a damn because they done cut many of players on the midnight hour with a one-way ticket. So we ain't going to get into this whole how you treat people conversation. We going to get into what you did on that court. And if you did enough
It's not personal. It's business.
Well, guess what? The old heads...
I'm not mad at him for it, but the reality is he utilized those resources.
But the old heads are making it personal because we don't like how you did it. But you liked it when a general manager who you had no connection with did it for your teams in your era. We already talked about Moses Malone. We already talked about 9 Hall of Famers on one damn team, and you don't have a problem with that. But when LeBron makes a call to one of his friends, you got all the issues in the world. It's about achievement, not likability. That's my problem with these old heads.
And here's the other thing, though, you said, Slick. If you telling me that the old heads wouldn't pick LeBron James first, then you almost proving Sel's point, which is they bias. Which is why if Dr. J wants to say, you know what, LeBron shouldn't be on the first team list because he's too young, I'd be like, you know what? Hey, you got to cut off of 82 years of age? Go ahead, because that's what it looks like. It's cut off of his list, 82 years of age.
Right.
But Slick, you can't tell me LeBron James isn't a better basketball player than Jerry West. Like, Slick. Let's stop with all this nonsense.
Why you pick out Jerry, though?
I'm just looking about
the
positions.
worst one on there.
I'm just looking about positions.
Why you do that?
Yeah, why did you pick Jerry West?
I would have picked out all of them, in all honesty. Like, LeBron James is better than all of them.
Yeah.
Slick, you can't sit here with a straight face and say that LeBron James is not a better basketball player than these players on this list.
Come on, man. He ain't 11.
If it comes down to skills, if it comes down to fundamentals,
Come down to basketball.
Jerry West is not the first place I'm going in comparing LeBron James.
I was going positions.
Is he number 11, Slick? Is LeBron James 11
Because-
to infinity?
What do you? No, we're not even in his era. I'm saying leave this. Look, this is obviously a 60s, 70s, 80s,
No,
90s
it's not obvious.
era all-time
He should have
team.
said
We're
that.
not moving into the
He
future.
should have said that.
And I don't. If Dr. J had said that, that's fine. But I can look at these teams and come to my deduction that that's what it is, and I'm not going to have a problem with it. And by the way, it's Dr. J's list. You can't tell Dr. J.
Yes, you can.
You do. You can't pick who you like.
Yes,
What?
you can.
It's his team.
No.
He gets to pick his 10 players. You might not like why he left LeBron out. That does seem like, hey, I don't like what's happened to the modern game, and I'm going to blame LeBron for it. But take that aside, I assure you that put that aside in terms of being the leader of power teams, of super teams being put together, Dr. J still wouldn't have LeBron in his first 10 players because he's respecting the eras of the guys that played before him and played with him.
I love when you say respecting. You mean protecting, because them two, they played against some sorry dudes. Be real, them dudes had second jobs. Some of them couldn't even jump, dribbling with one hand. Like, look,
the plumbers and the janitors and all that. That is such so bogus.
Slick,
Stop doing that. Stop protecting these dudes.
Tag me in. Here's the thing, Slick, because this is what you're not understanding, big dog. It's not Dr. J's fault that athletes have improved, that nutrition has improved, that weight rooms have improved, that IQ level and technology has improved. Basketball players, like every other sport, they're better now than they were then. Let's just look at sports where it's very easy to quantify. Jesse Owens was a dude. But I think his PR Marcellus, 1036, if I'm not mistaken? Just FYI. College cats jog 1036s now. No disrespecting to Jesse Owens and everything he was, because he was a dude. But technology is better. Strength and conditioning is better. Everything is better that allows athletes to be better. Slick, it's not even a conversation right now. LeBron James, just by the grace of everything, is better than these cats.
From a physical standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, you are 1,000% correct. If you're asking me the game itself, the way the game is played, I disagree with you.
Serious.
It's not better. Fundamentals have taken a back seat. It's become a straight line, athletic
But
game.
Slick, let me ask you this.
More so than it ever has before.
Let me ask you this, though, Slick. The game of basketball is not played by stagnant individuals that are unathletic. So if the game of basketball factors in both fundamentals and athleticism, our greatest players ever have been fundamentally sound and also athletic. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry's of the world, Kevin Durant's, fundamentals and athletic. Then the overall game is still better because the athleticism is so much better.
Now, let me say this.
But it's become an individual game, not a collective one. The way the game is played collectively has changed dramatically, and it has fallen off. It's not played with the same intelligence or IQ. It's a much simpler game to take advantage of that athleticism and those individual skills. This is the issue that I have when we get into the whole Steph Curry debate. I have no doubt he's the greatest shooter of all time. But Larry Bird and some of the guys that weren't in the three-point era, you don't think that if they were taking 12, 15 threes a game, that they wouldn't have put records up that would that Steph would be still chasing at this point rather than establishing? It takes away the fact that the game was played so different. When we measure it by statistics, it doesn't take into account that it was a completely different game.
Hey, let me button this up. I heard Hella say, yeah, the game is different, but not better back then. Interesting. Look, I'm not hating on the individuals on this list. I think these guys are timeless. Like, they could live in all eras. Their competition couldn't. Who they played against certainly couldn't. Let's just be real about that. If you want to have a present-day list and a present-day conversation on a podcast, keep your list present day. If not, go on to AM radio or go on a black and white television set, Dr. J, and give me that old era take. Here's the thing, Tom Brady, you need a duck. Because I hear it right now, too many old heads. I hate this player empowerment, this player movement. Tom Brady stayed still for 20 years. He moved, he made a few phone calls, got it happen, got it cracking, won a Super Bowl. Y'all gonna hate on Tom Brady going forward? Watch yourself, Tom Brady, they coming for you. My last point is, here's the evolution, not only in sports, but in life. Y'all know I love my kids. I got a 5-year-old little boy, MJ. This dude asks me a question every single day that I don't know the answer to, that I must Google to search what the answer is to. I have a 2-year-old who talks in complete sentences with logical sequences. And I'm like, damn, she is advancing more than even he advanced, more than I even advanced. And it's okay. I'm not trying to protect what's mine. I'm not trying to hold on to my era. Let it go. Let it grow. Let it evolve in LeBron's top 10. Coming up, John Lynch says he's deferring to Kyle Shanahan on drafting a quarterback. We'll tell you if the Niners are giving their head coach too much power. Too much power. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. You got to fight the power that be. The 49ers' decision with the number 3 pick in Thursday NFL draft has everyone's attention. Kyle Shanahan said yesterday the team is looking for a starting quarterback, and when they made the move up to number 3, they were, quote, 5 guys that we felt we'd be okay with taking. Well, GM John Lynch is putting that decision in Shanahan's hands. Take a listen.
I told Kyle from the beginning that he and I are doing this together. And when it comes to quarterbacks, I'd be foolish, I believe. We have a head coach who's also our offensive play caller. I will always defer to him. And, what's cool about that is that Kyle, I think, respects my opinion enough. He always wants it. And ultimately, we arrive at decisions. We will. And come Thursday, we'll have a pick that hopefully makes everyone proud. But that will be judged in years to come. And we've done our best to make sure that it's a great decision for this franchise.
Acho, have the 49ers given Kyle Shanahan too much power?
They have. And that's where it stands right now. But here's a caveat. Most teams, the best teams in the NFL, the head coach is either the general manager as well, or at least the head coach and general manager are on one accord.
Okay.
Bill Belichick, Patriots, we know what they do. Andy Reid, Brett Veach, we know how good the Chiefs are, and you know how they're on the same page. Pete Carroll, John Snyder. Either the coach has all of the power or the coach and GM are on one accord. But here's the kicker, because I fervently believe this. Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Many people know the word. Power corrupts.
I don't believe that.
And absolute power corrupts absolutely. I've witnessed it firsthand by your former head coach, Chip Kelly. Because when I was playing for the Eagles, I can actually speak to the Shanahan thing, bro.
Damn.
It was wild. Chip comes in as the head coach.
Okay.
Howie Roseman, the general manager. Head coach, general manager, everybody in the football office, as soon as you walk upstairs, all football personnel is on the left side, and on the right side is the tickets, the president of the team, sales, etc. First couple months, Howie's on the left side, the active general manager. Sell, true story, big dog.
I know it.
All of a sudden, you walk upstairs, Howie office ain't on the left no more. They done kicked the general manager, Howie, off to the right, where like ticket sales and whatnot is. And all of a sudden, Chip Kelly has full authority over the team. It worked out for a hot second.
Yeah, for a second.
10-6, first year. We won the NFC East. We was doing our thing. Next thing you know, we look up, we got 9 Oregon players on our squad out of 63.
I ain't talking to you.
15% of the true story. Look it up. 15% of the squad was Oregon. Sure. Chip Kelly got fired within a year and a half later. So all of a sudden, I truly saw power corrupt. Now, why is it okay to give Shanahan so much power? This final example, and I am done. Kyle Shanahan's dad, Mike Shanahan, was never really on the same page with Dan Snyder, the owner for the Washington football team, Redskins formerly. Remember Albert Haynesworth? You remember Albert Haynesworth?
Yes, who doesn't?
$100 million deal with Washington because Dan Snyder, the owner, essentially the active general manager, wanted Albert Haynesworth. Mike Shanahan didn't want Albert Haynesworth. So what happens day one? Albert Haynesworth fails conditioning test. Within 2 years, Albert Haynesworth gone because the general manager or the team owner wanted something that the head coach didn't want. So it's best that you were on the same page, or somebody who's capable of making the executive decision just makes executive decisions.
Interesting you take it there. I think they've given them too much power, but power is a tricky word in this situation because I don't think it's absolute power. Look, John Lynch had to clean up the press conference from Kyle Shanahan yesterday. If you guys watch it in its entirety, he had to go up there and be the professional. Because Kyle Shanahan up there joking.
Well, being a kid.
Yeah, being a kid, being sly. I don't even know if we're going to be alive on Sunday. And John Lynch said, come here. Let me talk to y'all. All right, we don't have a good enough record around here to be acting like that. You know what I'm saying? So, no, we're going to make the sound decision. It seems like John Lynch basically said, we're going to draft at number 3 a quarterback. But, Cal, you picked the quarterback because you're an offensive-minded guru as an offensive coordinator. Fine with that. But then let's talk about the Chip Kelly situation. Let's talk about how all the player personnel department reportedly is saying Trey Lance or anybody but Mac Jones. And then Kyle Shanahan's like, no, Mac Jones. So maybe he's not beefing with John Lynch, but he's beefing with those who are really out on the road, in the streets, in the stands, evaluating these talents. So it's just going to be interesting how it all plays out. But why is Shanahan in this position once again? Like, we all know in sports especially, the ultimate meritocracy, where you only eat what you kill. And Kyle Shanahan as a head coach hasn't killed anything except when he used Jimmy G as his weapon to kill something. The only year where I see Kyle Shanahan looking like, okay, that's a good head coach, is the year Jimmy G was the starting quarterback, full-time starter. Every other year, you get 21st rank in scoring. You get 21st rank in scoring. You get 20th rank in scoring. And then Jimmy G is there, using him as a weapon. You're second in scoring. Oh, that's it. Okay, what about Jimmy G, 22-8? And then without Jimmy G, Kyle Shanahan, 7-27. So you're going to now draft at the position where the only way you even have this amount of power is using the weapon of Jimmy G, but you're going to now draft someone at this position and take away the only weapon that got you that power. Y'all follow all that? Crazy. Terry Bradshaw and Fox Super 6 are giving away $5,000 for each day of the NFL draft this week. One of the day one contest questions is, which player will be selected with the 3rd overall pick in round 1? The options are Mac Jones, who? Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or others. Acho, what you got?
Against my advice, it will be Mac Jones. I wish it were Justin Fields, but it won't be.
It's going to be Mac Jones. Got to respect that. Who? Mac Jones. Download the Fox Super 6 app and play for free for your shot to win. And make sure you tune in to NFL Network for round 1, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, to follow along live. Coming up, 2-time Pro Bowler George Kittle will be here. We'll ask him about all the big news with his 49ers as we get closer to the draft. I'm also going to ask him about Jimmy G. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
The Jaguars have the number 1 pick in Thursday's NFL draft, and everyone is expecting them to take former Clemson star quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Jacksonville only won 1 game last year, so expectations for Lawrence are incredibly high. Owner Shad Khan put the pick in perspective, saying, "This is a decision that is going to define us, certainly for the rest of my life. I knew that this would be arguably the most important decision I'd be making, maybe in my lifetime. how the stars aligned is something that can really secure the future for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, Marcellus, is Jacksonville owner Shad Khan, is he putting added pressure on Trevor Lawrence? I was trying to figure out, Jaguar? Do I say Jaguar?
Are you still there?
I'm not, bro, because I was saying it and I was self-conscious.
Jaguars.
Okay, so I said it right.
War. Yeah, put a W in there somewhere in the middle and you be all right. Just wars. Who cares how it sounds? You know what you're talking about. All right, look, the answer to this question is no. And I'm getting sick and tired of these storylines. Pressure. Once again, let me define pressure. Pressure only exists outside of your comfort zone, not inside of it. We're not going through any demonstrations anymore. Pressure. Do people know how hard it is to play football? I guess they don't because they let these storylines live. Pressure is not, oh my God, they're going to give me the world, make me the first overall pick. I'm going to a bad situation. That has had moments and I can resurrect it. Pressure is somebody wearing a different color between the hashes and he gonna knock my head off unless I eat first. That's pressure. Pressure, someone saying, hey, the world is yours. Versus, what do you think pressure is? I love that. Give me the world. Give me all the opportunities. Versus, no, the world ain't yours, just this city, just this county, no, your block is yours. Like, I don't want to hear that. This guy has everything served up for him, and he is ready for it because he has been prepared. Since 8th grade, a dude, the best quarterback every year of his progression all the way to this moment. Trevor Lawrence had 2 lockers in the 8th grade. Remember you saw some dude had 2 lockers? Like, damn, yeah, you got another locker. Because Trevor Lawrence was that dude. I'm going to give you this moment in story form. My first year in San Diego, I break my foot the first game. And this is why I love when expectations are the highest. I love when they're looking at you like, dude, we gave you all this money, you better go ball. I broke my foot week 1. So I did not practice one time that entire year. Gatorade bucket, foot in there, sitting there, mental reps. Dog. There were times I was feeling like I'm winning. I'm killing it. But I knew the expectations. I knew that they had given me the world. And all they said is perform. And I went out there, did my thing. Pro Bowl, 13 sack killer, 1 foot. I destroyed it. But you know why I did it? Largely because they gave me all the opportunities in the world to do it. So I'm glad he has a long leash. I'm glad there are huge expectations. I'm glad that this ownership has said, we're counting on you. Because Trevor Lawrence now knows what to live up to.
You broke your foot and played? I thought you were going to say you sat the whole season out.
I should have. If I knew you, I would have. That's why I'm up here now. Stupid.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think it's added pressure because Trevor Lawrence already has enough pressure on him, if you will, that he's cognizant of. Owner Shad Khan didn't tell Trevor Lawrence anything he didn't already know. We hand-selected a new head coach to give you a fresh start. Not just any head coach, but one of the greatest college football coaches of all time. If you think the game of football is the same across the board, then one of the greatest football coaches of all time. Everywhere he has gone, he has won. Ohio State, Florida, Utah, I believe, was it Bowling Green beforehand, something like that.
Facts.
Everywhere Urban Meyer has gone, he has won. So Trevor Lawrence, we hand-selected him. Then on top of that, Trevor Lawrence is cognizant of the fact he will forever be tethered to the other quarterbacks that are drafted in that class. He's cognizant of that. Like Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, tethered together. Ryan Leaf, forever tethered to Peyton Manning. Sam Bowie, forever tethered to Michael Jordan. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, forever tethered to Mitch Trubisky. Y'all are always going to be tethered together. Trevor Lawrence, he understands that. So he understands the pressure that comes with being a #1 overall pick. He's seen what people said about Baker. He's seen what people said about Kyler. He sure as heck seen what people said about Jameis Winston and Mariota. There is a pressure that comes with that. Even Andrew Luck, who people don't really talk bad on, but Andrew Luck got booed off his own field when he announced that he was retiring. Well, they surprised the announcement he was retiring. And Andrew Luck did everything he could and gave everything he could to and for that franchise. So Trevor Lawrence is cognizant of the pressure that already exists, and there's no added.
Yeah, if this is pressure to Trevor Lawrence, if this is too big for Trevor Lawrence, then I understand the conversation, but it's not. Takes me back, you know, I got on my preacher suit right now. It takes me back to my church days. When you go in church and somebody's praying for something that they ain't ready for, and you know, my pastor called them out. Like, you got to be ready to receive what you're asking for, and there's a responsibility that comes from that huge ask. And it's just crazy. I tell my family all the time, when you complain, you're telling God, you're telling the world that you can't handle what you got. Oh, my God, my day's so long. Oh, I got all this pressure. Okay, the world gonna be like, all right, let me take some of that off your plate then, homeboy. Oh, you want it all on your plate? Well, then shut up. It ain't too much pressure, and it ain't too much for you to handle. So T-Law, Trevor Lawrence, has been prepared for this moment from day one. He knows how to take a compliment. The compliment is, the world is yours. Now take full advantage of it. Coming up, the Packers say Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback for the foreseeable future. We'll tell you how the MVP should feel about that. Next, don't speak for yourself. The Packers did not restructure Aaron Rodgers' contract this offseason, which led to speculation about his future in Green Bay. The Packers general manager said yesterday that they're working through their salary cap situation, but he added, quote, Aaron's our guy. He's going to be our quarterback for the foreseeable future. So, Acho, how should Aaron Rodgers feel about the GM's comments?
He should feel like the GM don't know what he's doing. He should feel like the GM is football incompetent at times. I mean, and here's why, Sel. If you are going to trade a first rounder and a fourth rounder to go draft Jordan Love, because Jordan Love is supposed to be the next Patrick Mahomes, because Jordan Love is supposed to be the future, but this isn't the old school era of football where the future is delayed. This is a microwave era of football where the future is imminent. Then how in the world am I your guy? And if I am your guy, then what you draft him for?
Preach.
It's a lose-lose. It's one of those where it's like, if I'm not your guy, I'm mad at you. But if I am your guy, then that means you're now admitting that you wasted a #1 first-round pick in a year where we were all of 8 yards away from going to a Super Bowl.
Damn.
8 yards was the difference between the Packers in the NFC Championship game and the Packers in the Super Bowl. I would assume that a first-round talent at wide receiver, I would assume that a first-round talent at offense of some degree, especially as packed as that wide receiver class was last year, I would assume that a first-round offensive addition would have been a difference at 8 yards over the course of a football game. I know you can't just do that, but I'm going to do that because it's our show. So with that being said, yeah, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm heated because if I am the future, then what in the heck were you doing in the past?
I'm with you, big dog. Foreseeable future? If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm sitting there saying, how far can you see?
Bingo.
Because what the hell you doing? What did you just do? Were you feeling this way last year when you went out there and did what you did? You hear that in the background? Dum, dum. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. The words that are coming out of his mouth, Aaron Rodgers, please don't believe this dude. I'm sorry. I hate to call somebody a liar, but you lying.
Facts. Yes, sir.
So maybe you're not a liar, but this moment you are. I don't want to hear it. So wait a minute. You drafted Jordan Love last year, and then this year you try to restructure my contract, which would have incentivized you to get rid of me sooner, and I caught you both times with your hands in the cookie jar. But now I'm supposed to believe you. As Houdini said, with friends like that, you don't need enemies. I mean, for real. This takes me back to my draft day, dog. Well, I told you, my draft day, 3 of my exes came back and said, oh, Marcellus, you know, back then it was different, and now I'm like, no, I'm different. You're an empty shell to me right now. You ever see somebody have an empty shell conversation? I'm around a lot of married people, and then when you get into your later 40s, early 50s, you'll realize this. You're going to be around a lot of divorced people. But I'm in that process right now, hearing their conversations. Oh, man, dog. Yeah, I love her, but I ain't in love with her. I'm like, This is what this sounds like. You love Aaron Rodgers, but you ain't in love with him. You cheated on him. And Jordan Love couldn't answer the call, answer the bell. So in a situation like this, Aaron Rodgers, just look at him. He an empty shell talking to you. He doesn't mean what he says.
Dang, so Jordan Love a side piece. That ain't right, Phil. That ain't right. No, as I look at it, man, it's like Jordan Love is a quarterback of the future, but Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback of the foreseeable future. Somebody got to make that make sense, right? Like, so Aaron Rodgers, you the future I can see, and Jordan Love, you the future I can't see. Either way, I'm not trying to see or listen to whatever he's talking about. Also, management, coaches, they lie in regards to quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, don't listen to a lick of what he's saying. Kyle Shanahan in the middle of last season, Jimmy G is our guy. Next thing you know, Jimmy G benched again. Well, obviously he got hurt. Then at the beginning of this offseason, we believe in Jimmy G. Sean McVay, Jared Goff is our guy. All these cats just be out here lying about their quarterback. So Aaron Rodgers has to understand, like, look, I don't care about your words. Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're telling me. And the Packers' actions have time and time again showed a lack of commitment to Aaron Rodgers. So saying that he's a quarterback of the future, it really don't mean nothing. I think it's just a matter of Aaron Rodgers, if you falter this year, really you're the quarterback until you mess up. And we're going to look at your first sign of Aaron. Because they looked at it last time. 26 touchdowns, 4 picks. We got to go draft a quarterback in Jordan Love. 26 touchdowns and 4 picks, and they was ready to move on. If you're ready to move on after that, now you already got Jordan Love sitting here with the bench already ready. Man, I think the second Aaron Rodgers slips up, they're going to be like, all right, big dog.
How about this? He doesn't even have to slip up. We are waiting. We're going to be so eager for you to go, for you to walk that green mile, John Coffey style, that guess what? We're going to actually exaggerate whatever you do to call it a slip-up. This is why people hate having to look over their shoulder, because sometimes you ain't even got to look. You just see it out of your peripheral vision. He's right here. And that's not enough to eclipse Aaron Rodgers, to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Whether it's the running back by committee and the first-string running back's like, yeah, dog, but if I don't score a touchdown every play, they're going to yank me. It's the quarterback down that throws 1 interception, and you're like, bench him. Bench me. Let me self-correct through that same game. And I'm so glad Aaron Rodgers is great enough as a player, accomplished enough as a player, and wise enough as a person to see this. This is the best game of chicken I've done seen in a while in football, because very few times you can look at a player and say, not only do I have leverage, I'm going to exercise it. Because most of the time when you have leverage, either they cave completely to you or they get rid of you. This one, they stuck. And Aaron's just like, yeah, game of chicken. Game of chicken, playing with this general manager, playing with this ownership group, as they call it, as they're publicly owned. Point being, what can you do to Aaron Rodgers? You're like, cut me and see what happens and see where I go and see what I make blossom over there. Oh, you want to stay with me, but you're going to stay with me on my terms. But it's a foreseeable future. I'm glad you caught that word, because it sounds like they're not all in still.
But don't you think Aaron Rodgers, it's all good for him now because he's coming off an MVP season or an MVP caliber year where he's proved to everybody he's incredibly talented. But say Aaron Rodgers does by chance struggle early on next year. Now, is Aaron Rodgers still in the power position? I'm not convinced.
Oh, no, I'm
because
with you.
now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got Jordan Love right here. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, you in the power position, but you know how it goes, bro. It's a seesaw. Power can change hands real quick.
But that's the beauty of it. Tom Brady struggled in the beginning of last year. People were saying he forgot what down it is. He can't beat New Orleans. What is his record, 7-5? Look how that turned out. So go ahead. The first sign of a decline from Aaron Rodgers, get rid of him or bench him. He going to make you eat them words. Coming up, 2-time Pro Bowler George Kittle will be on the show. We'll ask him how Jimmy Garoppolo reacted to the Niners moving up to the 3rd pick. For real. That's next on Speak for Yourself. Welcome back. Joined now by a beast, 2-time Pro Bowler and All-Pro 49ers tight end George Kittle. Kittle has the 3rd most catches by a tight end in NFL history through his first 4 seasons. George, welcome to Speak for Yourself.
What up, man?
George Kittle in the building.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
What's up, baby? We good. So let's cut right to the chase. I'll read this. Your team has been the talk of the NFL draft after the 49ers traded 3 first-round picks to move up, Lord, to the number 3 spot. What was your reaction, your real reaction, when you saw the news?
Don't lie to us.
I think it was the same as your guys. It was, wow, that's exciting. I mean, I just get paid to catch the football and block some people once in a while. So, whatever we're doing with that 3rd pick, it is what it is. And, I'll see a new person in the building May 17th or whenever we go back.
I feel you. So you really don't necessarily care who's throwing you the football because, like you said, you get paid to block, you get paid to catch it, but you don't necessarily care who's spinning it.
Oh, I mean, I care. I like my quarterbacks. I mean, I liked all 3 of the quarterbacks I had last year. I mean, I like the guys that are back there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just all playing for our position. So, I think Jimmy G's our quarterback. He is our quarterback. And so I'm just going to keep rolling with him until I'm told differently.
Exactly. Look, I don't know if there's a bigger fan of Jimmy G than me, certainly in sports media, maybe you as a teammate of his. But when you hear the words from John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan saying, we are targeting a starting quarterback in Thursday's draft, talk about your response to that and how it is playing with Jimmy G.
Oh, I didn't hear that yet. When did that day say that? That's cool.
I got quotes over here.
That's very interesting. I love that. I learned stuff on Twitter just like you guys. Well, like I said, I trust in John and Kyle. I think they're going to make the right decision. They're just going to try to make the team better at the end of the day. And so whoever they draft, whether it's a quarterback, tight end, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, whoever it is. I'm excited to meet them. I'm excited to play with them because I'll have that 49ers logo on the side of their helmet just like me. So I'm excited to be teammates with whoever we draft.
Okay, let's eulogize the living in Jimmy G right now, because it sounds like a conversation and maybe an action is going to come forward where Jimmy G's in a different position. Talk about playing with Jimmy G. I don't think enough of his great attributes are highlighted in national conversation.
I mean, I think for the last 2 years, I've had to come on media and just defend Jimmy G. And, I wouldn't go back on anything of what I said. Jimmy G's a fantastic leader. I think he is the reason that we got to the Super Bowl the year that we went. Because he didn't play, he's also the reason that we didn't win a lot of games last year because, neither of us were on the field. Besides just getting the ball out quick and being, incredibly handsome, the dude knows how to deal with football. And so, the leadership stuff, I don't think it's talked about enough. And I think some people sweep that under the rug because they're like, oh, he's a quarterback. He's supposed to be a leader. I know plenty of teams out there that might not have the best leader at quarterback or might not have the leadership that, they need to win. And, that goes a long way for us. We've had a young team and he was the guy that was able to steer us in the right direction. And so, like I said, I'm just excited to play with Jimmy again. And then whenever we get to spin the football, I'll be ready to catch that thing.
Phenomenal analysis. Incredible leader and very handsome. I hear you, Kittle. I hear you, bro.
Break it down.
All right, you said you was on the sideline much of last year, and so you had to watch your fellow tight end Travis Kelce break your own record for most receiving yards in a season. How motivated are you, big dog? Because I know you don't necessarily play with a chip on your shoulder, but you play like you got a chip on your shoulder. I'm going to be real. How motivated are you coming into this season?
I'm just motivated because I get to play football again. Sitting on the sideline for 8 weeks, sad day, it sucks. And so I don't want to do that again. So I'm just spending this entire offseason doing everything I can do to be the biggest, fastest, strongest, and most healthy person I could possibly be. And so, change up a couple of things. But, I'm definitely motivated. And I wouldn't say there's a chip on my shoulder, but when you don't play, people, tend to write you off a little bit. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to be back playing football and it's, just really be back on that field. Between the white lines, it's kind of my happy place, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, here's what I need from you, big dog. Here's what I need from you. I need your top 5 tight ends currently in the game right here, right now. I played with Zach Ertz, so I've always been partial to my dog. He had a down year last year. That's my guy, though, so watch your mouth. But I need your top 5 tight ends in the game right now.
Dang, man. You want them in a particular order?
Let me go in order. Let's go in order. Let's go in order. You can do that.
Yeah, not talking that. I'll give you 5 tight ends I love watching, though.
Okay.
I really trying to make one of my favorite. You can't ever make any list without Travis Kelce until that dude's done playing. So he's definitely one of my favorite guys to watch. From everything he does on the field. Darren Waller's incredibly fun to watch. Just his athletic ability and just his burst. That's some pretty special stuff. Let's see. My guy TJ Hawkinson, I think, is an absolute savage. He's up and he's rumbling and bumbling, and I think him and Jared Goff going to be very friendly in Detroit. My guy Robert Tonyan, I think that guy writes him off because he didn't get that Pro Bowl nod, which I still think is absolute and utter BS. When you have 12 touchdowns and don't make the Pro Bowl, it seems pretty lame. But yeah, Robbie T is up there, and my 5th and final favorite tight end to watch in the league. Cool, baby. Let's see. I love Watson Ertz, but I can't count me and Ertz because we missed so many games last year. So, Packers. Man, I don't really know, man. Those are the 4 tight ends I really watch. I do love, my guy Evan Ingram. He's always been special. I like watching him. Really, the Giants also have 2 tight ends I played with the 49ers with Caden Smith and Levine Toilolo, so they're stealing my tight ends, but I like watching their film too.
Okay, let's talk about you. Let's give you your flowers right now. We see you out there on the field. You're blocking, you're catching, stiff-arming dudes in the face. You have tremendous energy, but the thing that's most impressive to me is watching a 5th-round tight end, George Kittle, turn into a tight end that signs a $40 million guaranteed contract. Something beyond what we see that has driven you to this point of success. Can you share that with the world?
Really just, I want to be the best me I can be today. And that's why I wake up. That's my goals. If I can just stack days one after the other, and they're all great days, then I'm going to be the best player that I possibly can be. And Then if people want to call me one of the best to do it, then they call me the best to do it. But I know I'm nowhere near that yet. And I'm just going to try to get better, like I said, every single day, whether that's route running, whether that's blocking, whether that's just being a better teammate or a better leader. I'm learning. I'm just going to try to be better. And I think after the end of my career, I think that will, I think I can be in control of that and I can do all those things.
Kittle, I got one final question for you, big dog, because you're the expert. I'm the analyst, but you play the position. Kyle Pitts, I don't know how much you've watched about him, but I'm sure you've at least heard of him. Tight end out of Florida, supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, at least the greatest tight end prospect since Vernon Davis. Talk to me about his game. Do you consider him a true tight end because he don't really be blocking like you do? Just talk to me unfiltered about his game in your opinion.
I mean, you can say whatever you want about anything that he does, but the guy has 2 touchdowns in every game that he plays, and that's special. I mean, he makes hard catches. He makes difficult plays seem easy. At the end of the day, he's a playmaker. So give that guy the ball and see what he can do. Don't make it too hard on him. Just let the dude play football. Whether it's run blocking, whether if he's just out, lining up, playing wide receiver, or that slot tight end, he's still a tight end in my book because of all the intangibles that he does. So I'm a fan of him, and I can't wait to see the success that he has in the field.
Yeah, it's interesting, George. I played with Antonio Gates his rookie year. I played against Tony Gonzalez 1,000 times. Played with Mercedes Lewis, who is still playing in his 97th year in the NFL. But the point is, the tight end position, there are a lot of unknowns. What's the most difficult part of playing that position that people don't really understand?
You have to be great at everything. That's the thing. Like you have to be, if you want to be considered one of the greatest, you got to be good at run blocking, pass pro, chipping, running routes, catching the ball, yak. You got to know the offense. You got to know defenses. I mean, you're right there. You're a part of everything. You're in every single meeting every single day. Like, you don't get any time off. You got to learn absolutely everything. Yes. So you got to be great at everything if you want to be considered great. And I think that you can't just run routes and catch the football. You got to be able to block downfield. You got to be able to block a 300-pound guy right in front of you. You got to pass pro against all pro defensive ends. I don't know of any other position that has to catch the ball and score, but also block 300-pound people. So that tight end position is pretty difficult. That's why I appreciate it so much.
Love it, big dog. And then before we go, tell us about your partnership with Kingsford.
Oh, you mean the real reason I'm here? Talk about my pellets? Baby. That 100% Hickory Wood smoke pellets, baby. Gosh dang. I got a partner with Kingsford. I got to make a really fun little WWE commercial, little wrestling commercial with my boy TJ Hawkinson. That was pretty fun. Yeah, that was in my backyard, which is also pretty awesome. I didn't have to go anywhere for that. But yeah, we had a blast filming, and they just kind of let me be myself. They wanted me to say, hey, just go 100%, have some fun out there, and just represent those 100% Hickory Wood smoke pellets, baby. I think I did that. So we had a blast with that. It's been fun to partner with them, and they just kind of let me. I got to hit a bag of 50% pellets with a chair, so that was pretty awesome for me.
It seems like just a regular day in the life of George Kittle.
That's real. Unreal. Well, nice backyard, let me say that. And I never thought I'd be on TV talking about another man's pellets. Thanks for joining us, George. And speaking of the 49ers, we'll give you our level of confidence in their draft plan next. Speak for yourself. Coming back.
All right, bro.
George, crazy. We're just 2 days away from finding out who the Niners will take at number 3 in the NFL draft. Kyle Shanahan said yesterday that they moved up to get a starting quarterback, which has sparked questions about Jimmy Garoppolo's future. Shanahan was asked if Jimmy G will be on the roster after the draft and had an interesting answer. Take a listen.
I can't guarantee that anybody in the world will be alive Sunday, so I can't guarantee who will be on our roster on Sunday. So that goes for all of us. When we made this decision, we knew that there were 5 guys that we felt that we'd be okay with taking. We knew that there was 3 at the time exactly. That's why we thought 3 was a good spot to go to. After going through this whole process, I feel good about 5 guys at 3.
I told more or less confident in the 49ers draft plan after that.
Far more nervous, big dog. I mean, it looks like John Lynch trying to make Shanahan the scapegoat. You got Shanahan trying to make Jimmy G the scapegoat. It just looks like a whole bunch of people just trying to point fingers to avoid blame themselves. That's the one reason I'm nervous.
Spider-Man meme, right?
Facts. The second reason I'm nervous is because when you lying and you ain't got no reason to lie, it always just make me nervous. Like, if you got a reason to lie in life, you know what I'm saying? You got a life and death situation. You're trying to preserve anger, fear, whatever the case may be. Okay, I can understand that to a degree. But he out here lying. You got the number 2 overall pick. You know Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. We can assume Zach Wilson is going number 2, but either way, nobody is going to trade up and leapfrog you to get the 1st or 2nd pick. So what you got to lie about who you take him for? Like, what are you trying to preserve? And not even, we like 5 guys at 3. Bruh, you can't even draft 5 of them because 1 and 2 is gone. So you might as well say we like 3 guys at 3. The whole thing just seemed like Kyle Shanahan's cell is biting off more than he can chew, or Kyle Shanahan got too much dip on his chip. Either way, big dog, I'm like, Shanahan, I don't know if you really know what you into right now.
Are you coming over to my side about Kyle Shanahan? Welcome. We've been expecting you. I told you about this dude, man. I have no confidence in their plan because I don't even know if they have a plan. I don't know why they have a plan to get rid of Jimmy G once again. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And what the hell are y'all planning to do? Sounds like draft 5 guys and fail because they don't. First of all, I understand why he's not going to say the names. It's draft time. It's poker. We all in Vegas right now. So I get it. And Zach Wilson is not a certainty. Trevor Lawrence is. Zach Wilson's in the 90 percentile, but he's not 100% like Trevor Lawrence. But isn't this like the moment in the movies when you see they got him dead to rights and the guy is like, okay, tell me the truth. And then that person's like, are they lying to stay alive or are they telling the truth to stay alive? I can't really decide because I don't know if he is really telling the truth. Like, Jimmy G, if he weren't hurt all the time, I wouldn't be in this position. I really just want someone who can be durable. Or is he really like, Jimmy G, you also can't read defenses. You ain't who I like. I don't like working with you. You're weak. You always hurt. Like, I don't know if he's telling the truth about this move or is he lying about it.
But I think it makes him look dumb because the truth will come out eventually. And so if come Monday, Jimmy G is no longer a 49er, we all going to be looking at you, Shanahan, like, well, I can't guarantee anybody's going to be alive by such. So now the apocalypse is going to come, take over the whole world, and we all just going to crash and die?
Lord.
Like, come on, Shanahan, be an adult. You went to Texas. Okay, act like it. Don't act like you went to Columbia, okay? I need you to be an adult here and really act like the university you went to.
Oh, man, let the record state, Your Honor, Exhibit A, that Jimmy G has been better at his job than Kyle Shanahan at his job. Just had to put that into exhibits. Coming up, Baker Mayfield believes in UFOs. We have a lot to say about that. That's next. Don't speak for yourself. Look at that picture.
Baker Mayfield tweeted back in March that he and his wife saw a UFO. Well, Baker doubled down on his sighting yesterday. Take a listen.
I'm a firm believer in UFOs and Sasquatch. It's real. I saw it. I'm glad the Navy finally confirmed some more pictures. Now everybody doesn't think I'm as crazy. I believe.
So, Marcellus, you like Baker Mayfield doubling down on his UFO sighting?
Yeah, always tell the truth. Never shut up. I ain't mad at that. Now, I have never seen a UFO. I have seen a ghost before. One time I was sitting in the bed with one of my exes, long time ago. Shut up, Acho. And something went across the room for real. And I was like, yo, you see that? She's like, no, it was a real ghost. And I'm doubling down on that.
Was it her pet, big dog?
No, it wasn't her pet. Her pet can't fly.
About being in bed with one of your exes. You are a married man now. Can you leave your exes behind?
Oh, you're going to
That's the second time you talked about your exes on this show.
You're going to be like everybody else in this world, huh? Forget history. Okay, that's it for us. Fox 10 Live is next. It's